Philadelphia in the 1700s was a city of transformation, a growing colonial capital shaped by trade, ideas, and the beginnings of revolution. Thanks to new advanced AI software, we can now recreate these scenes with unprecedented accuracy. I can even place myself, Matt, directly into these recreated moments, standing on the very streets our ancestors once walked. By analyzing actual 18th century maps, engravings, and paintings, we're able to show how Philadelphia is likely to have looked. The buildings, streets, people, and atmosphere of the time, allowing us to step back nearly 300 years and experience the city as early Philadelphians once did. This is Market Street in 18th century Philadelphia, one of the city's most important civic corridors. The illustration captures a moment when this street served as the center of public life. The large brick building on the left is the city's first courthouse, a focal point for law, trade, and daily governance in the growing colonial capital. Just beyond it, to the north along 2nd Street, rises the spire of Christ Church, one of Philadelphia's earliest and most influential religious institutions. The muddy roadway, crowded with carts, horses, and pedestrians, reflects the reality of urban life before paved streets. Market Street was not just a place of commerce. It was where Philadelphians gathered, debated, worshipped, and quietly shaped the city's future. This is an eastward view of the city of Philadelphia around 1790. Seen from across the Delaware River, the hand-colored engraving captures the city at the height of its late 18th century growth. The river in the foreground is the Delaware, a deep tidal waterway that connected Philadelphia directly to the Atlantic world. Its wide channel allowed ocean-going ships to reach the city's wharves, making Philadelphia one of the most important ports in North America. The waterfront is crowded with sailing vessels, merchant ships, rivercraft, and smaller boats moving constantly between shore and channel. Through this river flowed food, timber, manufactured goods, and people, linking the city to Europe, the Caribbean, and the interior of the continent. Rising above the rooftops are the spires of Philadelphia's churches, forming a skyline that signaled both prosperity and stability. Views like this presented Philadelphia as a confident commercial capital of the young United States, anchored by the river that sustained it. This is a view of the house at 7th and Market Streets in Philadelphia in the late 18th century. Known at the time as Jacob Graf's home, it stood within one of the city's busiest residential neighborhoods. In 1776, these rooms were where Thomas Jefferson drafted much of the Declaration of Independence. The building itself was typical of Philadelphia architecture: brick construction, symmetrical windows, and restrained Georgian design. Scenes like this remind us that some of the most consequential ideas in American history emerged not from grand halls, but from ordinary city houses, set along muddy streets filled with everyday life. Speaking of Thomas Jefferson and the Declaration, it's not Philadelphia in the 1700s without this. This is the Pennsylvania State House in 1776, the political heart of the city and one of its most important public buildings. Completed decades earlier, the State House served as the meeting place for colonial assemblies and congresses. Its orderly design reflected the ideals of balance, reason, and civic authority that defined Philadelphia at the time. Inside these walls, delegates from the colonies gathered during the summer of 1776. It was here that the Declaration of Independence was debated, approved, and signed, marking a decisive break from British rule. Scenes like this place Philadelphia at the center of events that would reshape the Atlantic world, turning a colonial city into the birthplace of a new nation. From this room, a single decision set in motion a chain of events that would permanently alter the course of world history. 11 years after independence, Philadelphia again became the setting for a defining moment in American history. In 1787, delegates from the states gathered here to determine how the new nation would be governed. George Washington presided over the Constitutional Convention, chosen for his authority and restraint. Though he spoke infrequently, his presence helped impose order on a room shaped by disagreement and competing interests. Meeting behind closed doors in the Pennsylvania State House, the delegates debated representation, federal power, and the balance between states and a central government, laying the foundations of a political system that would endure beyond the revolutionary generation. This is the Philadelphia Almshouse in the late 18th century. Relocated in 1767 to a newly built complex on the edge of the city. Known at the time as the House of Employment, it reflected Philadelphia's approach to poverty, labor, and public responsibility. The almshouse housed the poor, the sick, the elderly, and those unable to support themselves, combining care with compulsory work. Life inside the almshouse was strictly ordered. Days were structured around work, meals, and supervision, with little privacy and few comforts. This is Front and Market Street in 18th century Philadelphia, home to the London Coffee House. More than a place to drink coffee, it was one of the city's central gathering points for business, news, and politics. Merchants, ship captains, and citizens met here to exchange information, negotiate deals, and conduct public auctions. The open lot beside the building served as an extension of this activity, used for sales of goods and, at times, enslaved people, reflecting the realities of Atlantic commerce in the colonial world. In places like this, Philadelphia's economic and political life unfolded in public view, where conversation, commerce, and power met at street level in the years leading up to independence. This is the old courthouse of Philadelphia in the 18th century, a central site of law and civic order in the growing colonial city. Here disputes were settled, contracts recorded, and the rules of public life enforced. It was also a place where newcomers, immigrants arriving from across the Atlantic, entered the legal world of the city, registering property, debts, and obligations as they began new lives in America. Buildings like this form the civic framework of a city shaped as much by immigration as by ideas. This is the stone prison of Philadelphia in 1728, one of the city's earliest institutions of confinement and public discipline. Built of heavy masonry and set apart from residential streets, it reflected the colonial belief that order was maintained through visibility and restraint. For many newcomers and long-time residents alike, this building marked the boundary between liberty and authority in the growing city. Once again, Philadelphia stood at the center of events that would shape the course of history. Like cities across the Atlantic world, its past endures in images like these. Snapshots of a world long gone, brought briefly back to life. Let us know in the comments what you'd like to see recreated next. Another city, a different moment in time, a historic speech, or another scene from the past. Thanks for watching.